Hello everyone, I'm Greg Otta with FedScoop TV. Welcome to our IT Modernization Heroes series. I'm talking with Robert Klopp, the CIO of the Social Security Administration. Robert, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. Call me Rob.
Okay, Rob, so tell our viewers a story of success inside your agency and how you've made significant headway in modernizing your IT.
Well, it's interesting. I think you bite it off and you take small chunks. One of the things that we've done is we've had a project that was one of those federal disaster projects that we turned around, and then in really less than a year, we've taken on this project, built a new application from scratch in the cloud, used very modern tools like Node.js and Postgres databases and open source stuff. And we've now gotten to the point where we've actually turned it from red to yellow on the IT dashboard, and we think all the technical risk has gone out. And it's been a really remarkable success.
Interesting. Okay. So the Obama administration has this proposed bill that would create a $3.1 billion revolving IT modernization fund. Where do you see that money, if it is to become law, where do you see that being injected into systems that badly need it from day one?
So it's really a great story, I think, too. One of the things that we've been struggling with, and we've been in conversations with OMB about, is that if you take on any of these modernization projects, they're multi-year projects. And the worst thing that could ever happen is for you to get halfway through the modernization, end up with one foot in the old world and 1 foot in the new world, and then have your funding run out and have to maintain them both at the same time. You'll be actually worse off.
Right.
So we see this IT Modernization Fund as a vehicle for us to go get the long-term funding we need to go take on what we see as really a big project. And by big project, there's lots of discussion about what does IT modernization really mean? And for us, it really means modernizing the application architecture. What it doesn't mean is moving from COBOL, a 40-year-old programming language, to Java, a 20-year-old programming language. We need to really modernize much deeper than that, and it's probably closer to a rewrite than a migration.
Okay. So what is the biggest technology challenge you've encountered inside your IT modernization program, or what has to change in order to accelerate your efforts?
The technology challenge, I think, isn't the problem. I mean, I think we understand the business processes really well. I think there's some cultural stuff around getting people's heads wrapped around what a modern software architecture is and stuff like that. There's certainly the funding challenge that we just talked about in the $3.1 billion attempt to get around some of that. So I think really what it is for us is in an organization where the checks that we pay out of Social Security Administration represents about 5% of the GDP of the U.S. As you can imagine, we have to be very conservative and careful, and it's hard to get people to want to go touch that old code.
Okay. So finally, how have advances in cloud computing, containerization, agile development changed your outlook or your process for what's possible over the next 18 months in your IT modernization efforts?
Well, I mentioned that we think it's about architecture, not about just the code. And the modern architectures that we have to build in are architectures that can be deployed across clusters of servers, of which cloud is just the biggest imaginable cluster. And by doing that, all of a sudden we have to build software that can be distributed, that can take advantage of the elasticity that you get from a cloud, that's highly scalable, which means that we can build it small and scale it up. We don't have to always be building for the giant thing at the end. And we're actually have made huge strides in the last year in trying to get cloud infrastructure in place. As I said, this new application runs in the Amazon cloud, and we're now positioning ourselves to build an on-premise cloud in anticipation of ending up with a hybrid cloud that will be able to have our applications run across both architectures.
Very, very interesting insight, Rob. Thanks for dropping by today.
Thanks, my pleasure.